Hello everyone, so today what I'm going to show you guys, I'm going to show how to register Cisco IP phones with a CME router and be able to call from one Cisco IP phone to another. So without further ado, let's get started. So the first thing that you want to be able to create a CME router, or a virtual CME router, is you need to install services that are called DynaGen and DynaMips. So let's get started with that. So apt install DynaMips and DynaGen. These two will be installed, but for me, I've already installed them, so they just look for updates. So next thing would be to create a config file, but I already have one over here. I can show you what configurations I have made. So hitash.conf here. So this up till here, everything can be the same if you like, but starting over here, things get started. As you can see, I have my two routers, my R1 and R2. You can see my R1 and R2 over here. If you're copying these configurations, the one thing that I would suggest you to change are these port numbers. So as you have 2521 here and I have 2522 here, make sure that these two are different. And another thing that is different, or should be different, is these interfaces, tap 1 and tap 2. Make sure that these two are different. So WQ. Before I go any further, I'm going to check if these two are up. So as you can see, these two interfaces were not up. So I'm going to put these interfaces up first. So how do we do that? So we do if config tap 1 up. Oh, because it's not up yet, so it will not pick it up. Alright, that's fine. We can just start off right away. DynaMips. So first you would like to enable DynaMips service, DynaMips-H2000, and it will shut it down first and then process that up. Next thing you want to do is you want to run the configuration file. So DynaGen hitash.conf, in this place you would put in whatever configuration file you had. So I'll start that. Okay, so it worked perfectly. So the first thing that you want is you want to start your R1. So I'm going to do a start R1. Sorry, R1. No, and I'm also going to start R2. Start R2. Now this can take a little bit of a while. Now in another terminal, you would want to do this. You would want to do a telnet localhost 2521. This will open up your R1, and you would also like to start another session, telnet localhost 2522. This is R2. So we will wait for these to boot up, and I will see you guys then. So we're back. So after it has finished booting up, you will be presented with this command. Would you like to enter the initial configuration dialog? Which you can go simply say no, and it will do a little bit more for a while, and after a while it's going to give you these messages, and there we go. It is starting up. There we go. So it has started up, and we have a fresh router as is. Alright, so starting off, I'm going to give this a host name. So enable conft host name. I'm going to say hitash r1. Well, you can say whatever you want. This is what I have. I'm going to give this an IP address. So I'm going to do int f/0/0 f/int000, and I'm going to give this an IP address of IP add. I'm going to give it this IP address 192.168.56.5, 192.168.56.5, with a subnet mask of /24. And I'm going to no shut to enable the interface. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side, on the other router. Enable, conf t, give it a host name of Hitesh R2. I'm going to give it an IP address, so int f/0/0 IP add 192.168.56.6. Oh, 255.255.255.0. No shut to enable the interface, and it should be up. There we go. So let's get into some nitty-gritties now, shall we? First things first. Now what you would like to do is you want to open another terminal. Sudo -i. Now you want to check if the interfaces came up or not. Sometimes they don't. For us, it did not come up, so we're going to make them come up by doing if config tab 1 up and if config tab 2 up. As you saw before, when I tried to do it, it didn't work. Where'd it go? Yeah, so here it didn't work because it was not enabled. So now it is enabled. So you also want to do add these two interfaces, tab 1 and tab 2, to the bridge interface that we have, so they're able to communicate with the host VM and every other aspect of the network. So how you do that? So you do brctl add if br0 tab 1. That is for tab 1. You could do another one for tab 2. Now this way it will be able to communicate. Now this way these two routers, R1 and R2, will be able to communicate with the Linux Mint VM, will be able to communicate with this Windows VMs and any other machine that is in your network. So we can check this by just doing a do ping 192.168. Let's say we ping the default gateway of 1, and it should possibly work, but there we go, it worked. Same thing here, do ping 192.168.56.6. Oh, this is us, sorry, 56.1, and we'll send it. There we go, it works. Next, we're gonna start by doing a clock set. Right now the time is 2:30. I'm gonna do it for 2:31. So 02:31:00. November. Today's date, November 22, 2023. Same thing over here. I'm gonna do an end clock set to 02:31:00 November 22, 2023. That's the slide messages. There we go. Set. Next, we're going to configure telephony services. So, conf t, telephony services. There. We're going to start by assigning ePhones, or restricting how many ePhones can be added to one CME router. So how do we do that? We do max-ePhones. For us, I want 10 phones to be maximum. So I want only 10 phones to register with R1. So I do this command, which says there can only be 10 phones registered with this router. Maximum is 10. I'm going to give this a source IP address. So IP source -address, which is the same address as of this machine, of this R1. So it'll be 192.168.56.5. We're going to give this a port of 2000. Max DNs, these are directory numbers, basically saying how many phones can be registered to one DN, or how many phones can be registered to how many DNs. So I'm going to say the same number, 10. It's 10. System message, I'm going to give this anything that you want. System message, I'm going to say R1 Utesh. And that is it. Exit. I'm going to go ahead. Oh, I forgot something. Telephone services. We also need to create CNF files, CNF-files, for this to be able to propagate. So let's configure this one to be able to register with this phone. So let's go preference, and we're gonna give this a TFTP server of R1's IP address. What phone is this? 46.5. It picked up by itself, even though it's not in the right IP address. Wow. So yeah, it's just gonna restart. Yeah, I'll register normally. There we go. It was registered with the phone. Next, we would like to give this phone a number. So, starting off, we do a telephony services again. No, we don't even need that. We need an ePhone 1, ePhone DN-1. We give this a number. So number is something that will be able to be called or called from. So this number right here, 7895, is what number we're going to give this. So on 7895. I'm going to give this phone a name as well. So I'm going to give this a name, Hitesh Phone 1. I'm going to exit this now. Next we do is we want to assign this directory number 1 to the actual phone. Right now it is not actually assigned to it, so we need to assign it to the phone. So we do ePhone 1. To be able to assign a number to a phone, you also need the MAC address of the phone. So MAC address, and I'm going to pick the MAC address from right here. Copy, paste, dot, and dot. So I'm also gonna assign this to a button 2:1. So what this means, button 2:1, is that I'm assigning the first direct DN, ePhone DN1, I'm assigning DN1 to the second physical button on the phone. So ePhone DN1. Now we can do a remote restart. So restart, and it should restart the phone. As you can see, it's going to update this locale, and it will have a number. There we go, 795. Amazing. We're going to do the same thing on R2. So conf telephony services. We're going to give this a max ePhones. After the syslog messages, max-ePhones. Oh, V9 telephone services. Telephony services, max-ePhones. I'm going to save the same number, 10. Next thing is IP source address, IP source-address. I'm going to give this the source address of the same IP address as the R2, so 192.168.56.6 with a port of 2000. Next, I'm going to do a max DN numbers, so max-DN10, and I'm also going to create CNF files that I forgot to do for the rest for R1. CNF-files. So, as you can see, it picked up by itself, even though we did not give it 1. I do not know why. So we change this to 6. So it picks up the information from R2. Let's see if it registers properly. It does. I believe I forgot to give it a name, so that is the problem. Telephony services, system name. I'm going to give this R2 Hitesh system message, sorry. System message. Create CNF files again. CNF-files. There we go, it picked it up itself. Nice. So next thing we need to do is we need to assign another number to this guy. So how do we do that? Same process, we do ephone dn1. We give this a MAC address. Oh, sorry, we don't give this a MAC address, we give this a number. Number is 7995. 7995. Why did it kick me out? Dn1. Number 7995. We are also going to give this a name of Hitesh phone 2. Exit. Now we're going to assign this directory number to the actual phone. So ephone 1 MAC address. I'm going to pick the MAC address from here. 6A. Copy. Paste. Dot. And I'm going to assign the same button on it. So button 2:1. Exit. Oh, actually we need to restart this so it picks up the information. So restart. And it should pick up all the information. There we go. So now, as you can see, it has a number on the second button, and this one also has a number on the second button. But they will still not be able to call each other as they do not have a dial peer. So basically what happens now, if we try to call, it will go from our phone 1, it will reach to R1, and then R1 will not know what to do with it, what to do with the call. So we'll just drop it, or we're gonna let it through. So we now want these two routers to be able to see each other and be able to transfer calls between each other. So how do we do that? We make something called dial peers. So I'm going to show you how to configure dial peers. So here's how we do it. Dial-peer voice 7995, and we do VoIP. Destination pattern. Destination pattern dash pattern of 7995. So basically what I'm saying is that every call that comes from that is received on R1, if the destination pattern is 7995, which is this guy, send it through this dial peer. Destination pattern, that one. And we're going to give this a source or a session target. So session target IPv4 : and I'm going to give this an IPv4 address of this guy of R2. So when it receives a call for 7995, so when R1 receives a call for 7995, it will say, okay, I have a dial peer for this number, and it will see where to send the call to. So the call will be sent to R2, which is the IP address 56.6. So 192.168.56.6. And this should be everything that we need, but we do need to configure this thing on the other router. So we come here, we do dial-peer 7895 VoIP. Oh, I'm not forgetting to add voice here. 7995. I give this a destination pattern. Destination-pattern of this number, so it knows where to route the call to. So 7895. I'm also going to give this a source or a session target. So session target of 192.168.56.5. Oh, I didn't give this an IPv4, so IPv4 colon. There we go. So end. So now the dial peers are set. They should be able to call each other, but sometimes the sometimes these routers take time to propagate the information. So I'm gonna wait for a little while so that I'm gonna show you the dial peers that I've just created. So show dial-peer summary, voice summary, sorry, voice summary. As you can see, I have a dial peer for 795 for this IPv4 address. So whenever R1 receives a call for this number 7995, it will say, okay, I received a call and I know where to send it through. I need to send it through this IP address. Same thing on R2. It will have the same but a bit different. So show dial peer dash voice summary. As you can see, R2 will do the same thing. It will say for every call that comes for this phone, routed through this IPv4 address. So let's try it. So on R1, on our Cisco IPv phone 1 that we have here, we're going to dial to this phone over here. So let's do a 7995 dial. Okay, it sometimes makes problems. 7995, and it should route through. There we go. It routed through. Picks up. Since, as I said, it takes some time to configure or propagate information. So it works properly. We have everything set up. Right now the call is going through this way. And if I were to just make a call from this guy to over here, it should work also. So do a new call 7895, and it goes through. So there we have it, folks. This is how we set up Cisco IPv phones with dial peers. Thank you for watching.